Hey guys, Freedom Now. Today is Saturday, December 13th, and Christmas is almost here. So I just want to talk about good news from this point on until the end of the year, but that's not realistic. But I will say that today we're going to talk about some breaking good news in addition to some not so good news. This is everything that you're really going to want to know about this as far as what happened this week. Some major things did happen this week in the world of immigration. So come on in and type in Freedom Now. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide at McBean Law, where we believe in immigration freedom. We believe in you help you find in peace. We are working on some really hard work for you, helping a lot of people who are in trouble, immigration trouble under the law. And it feels good to see you guys and to help you get that breakthrough. So reach out to McBean Law, guys, if you have an immigration problem and you need help with it. You may contact us at 914-898-9488. Our phone lines are open today and tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, until 6 p.m. So between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. on the weekends. It's so great to see you guys. Some really important things to discuss, a whole lot of immigration news. So I'm just going to dive right in. And friends, please bring your positive energy only. Um, Type in Freedom Now. Let me know where you're watching from. Bring positive energy only today on this Saturday. All right, friends. So first thing is this, right? The first news that I really want you guys to understand, and it's about travel, friends. And I shared on social media last night on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook last night the breaking news that TSA is sharing all traveler names, and this is for domestic travelers. Their names are being shared with ICE multiple times each week, as New York Times has reported out on. And what ICE is specifically looking for, guys, they're looking for those of you who have a removal order. And if you have a removal order, they plan to arrest you. Okay, so they're looking to have more airport arrests. So if you have a removal order, this is your travel warning. You should not be traveling domestically. And we've talked about this in the past because this is what TSA is doing currently. TSA historically has never this is not what TSA does, okay? They don't touch the criminal side of things, and they do not touch the immigration enforcement side of things. They just don't handle anything involving those two areas. But things have changed, and they are sharing information. So all travelers, U.S. citizens, green card holders, non-citizens, visitors, anyone who is traveling on an airplane domestically around the United States, TSA is sharing their names with ICE to see whether you have an alien number. And if you do have an alien number, do you have a removal order? And if you do have a removal order, then they are planning these arrests. So this is your warning. We knew something was going on, but we didn't know in a real concrete way what they were actually doing. Now we do. Now we know. And this explains the arrest of that young college student, the freshman who was arrested at the Boston Logan Airport during Thanksgiving when she was traveling to Texas to surprise her father for Thanksgiving. She was deported to Honduras 2 days later. After she showed up at the airport, she handed in her ticket and she thought everything was fine and good. And then they arrested her at the airport. She did not know that she had a removal order. So please be careful with your travel. Also, if you're concerned about facial recognition and some other airport technology that is capturing your information as a traveler, and you do not have lawful status in the United States, well, you should stay away from the airport as well. So guys, that's the first thing that I want you to be aware of. Domestic travel has changed. Okay, it has changed. Now, Good news. Let's talk about some breaking good news. And this has to do with ICE. Friends, it is being reported out that ICE will no longer be conducting their raids. Okay. According to Fox News and The Hill and some others, DHS is changing their immigration enforcement tactics. Why? Because the president doesn't like all of the negative polling that he's been getting recently, as Americans are sitting back in their chairs and they're saying, I don't like what those ICE boys are doing. Yeah, I want to go after those illegals and everything, but those ICE boys, they've gone too far. They've really pushed things too far. I don't like what they did to that US citizen young woman when they pulled her out of her car in the street. And I don't like how they're breaking into people's homes, and violating Fourth Amendment rights and such. And I just don't like how aggressive those ICE boys have gotten. Now, these are the words that some of you have shared with me, as you're commenting on my post. I don't like how far ICE has gone. Well, apparently that sentiment has reached the highest level, and they're stepping back, and they're changing their strategy from these raids that we're seeing. However, some things will not change. They will still continue to do those traffic stops. But as far as going into the streets, going to Home Depot, going to Walmart, in those parking lots and arresting ordinary folks who are just, buying groceries or dropping their kids off at school or whatever they're doing, they're not going to focus on those types of raids anymore. They're going to go back to their original mission, which was certainly to go after individuals with a serious criminal record, okay? So DHS is shifting its immigration enforcement strategy away from those highly visible, large-scale raids and toward more targeted operations focused on undocumented immigrants convicted of serious crimes. Along with, of course, they're going to continue the traffic stops, as I've said. News Nation is reporting this out. It's a source that they have. It's been confirmed by them. And this change comes amid growing public backlash. Okay, I want to see the comments. Growing public backlash and declining approval of President Trump's immigration policies, which were, this going after as many immigrants as possible certainly was the cornerstone of his 2024 campaign and his second term agenda. Guys, listen to this. According to a recent Public Religion Research Institute survey, approval of Trump's handling of immigration has fallen from 42% in March to 33%, reflecting a significant drop in support. Other polling reinforces this negative trend. A November YouGov poll found that a majority of Americans disapprove of ICE operations connected to mass deportation efforts. And then there's another poll, KFF/New York Times survey showed that about half of immigrants say they and their families feel less safe. They feel less safe since Trump returned to office. Guys, we saw a lot of crazy things happen over the last few months in Los Angeles, Chicago, Charlotte, and now the big push is in New Orleans, which these articles are saying that Customs, Border Patrol will continue to push forward with their plans in New Orleans. They've only arrested 250 people, and their goal is 5,000. It's going to be interesting to see if they could reach that number. But in any event, the big strategy going forward, so as it's being reported, is that ICE is going to pull back. Okay, from the raids that we've been seeing, and then all of those lawsuits as well, guys. All of those lawsuits, it's just insane what's happening right now. But so this is good news. Type in good news if you like this. This is good news. We know. I'm still going to say this, because it was reported out under the Biden years. Under the Biden years, it was reported out to Congress that that DHS ICE knows about over 600,000 people who have a very serious criminal conviction. They know about over 600,000 people. Okay. And if you go back and watch that old video of mine from last year, I pulled up the memo that was shared with Congress with respect to each category of crime, very serious felonies that of individuals that they know about. So everyone thought, okay, they were going to focus on the 600,000 people that they know about, but that is not what we saw. So now they're going to scale back. They're pulling back. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. But I'm very optimistic that this is going to happen. Next, guys, this is also good news, and this is on the state level in Illinois. Okay, in Illinois, Governor Pritzker signed a new law shielding immigrants from arrests around courthouses, hospitals, and colleges. And this new law will make it harder for federal immigration enforcement actions to take place in those specific locations, making it harder for agents to arrest people while they're attending court, seeking medical care, going to school, or accessing other public services. This measure was signed by Governor Pritzker and it takes effect immediately. And under this legislation, federal officials are prohibited from making these civil immigration arrests near courthouses, hospitals, universities, daycare centers, and other sensitive locations. Now, you probably already know this, that ICE used to have a memo that touched on these sensitive locations in which they, for years, said, well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to arrest people at the churches or near, or at hospitals or places that are sensitive. And earlier this year, they got rid of that long-standing policy. What's interesting about this new law, which I haven't really taken a look at specifically, I'm just summarizing the news as I see it. It says here that the law provides legal remedies. Legal remedies, guys, for individuals who are unlawfully detained, including the possibility of recovering $10,000 in damages if arrested while attending a court proceedings. The new protections, I should say critics, including some federal officials, argue that the state law may conflict with federal authority. Of course, there's that conflict between state and federal authority with respect to immigration. So, of course, this could face legal challenges, but those disputes have not played out yet in court. So, this is good news out of the state of Illinois. And New York has something similar. New York had put their law in place a few years ago, I think under Trump 1.0, if I'm not mistaken, which prevents federal law enforcement agents from arresting folks in places like near courthouses, state courthouses. Okay, now here's an interesting news that I think is good, and it has to do with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This man, I think, this is the face of the Trump administration's effort to crack down on immigration. This is so interesting what's going on with him. You guys might have heard the news that he's free. Okay, he is no longer detained, and more so, after he was released again, he was ordered to return to the ICE field office to go and check in within 14 hours of being released. They wanted this man to come back in. Why? Of course, they wanted to arrest him again, but then a federal judge said no. When he goes there, you guys have no authority to arrest him. Okay? Say whatever you want to say about him, about Abrego Garcia. It's not even about him. It is about due process. That is all I even care about. Okay? And that's it. Due process. Is it working? Is the law, do we have something that we could rest on every night when we sleep that, we have some protection under the law? That's what I care about. And I think that's what most of you care about as well. I don't, his background, it's his background. Okay. What I care about is rule of law. And a federal judge in Baltimore has issued an order blocking U.S. immigration authorities from redetaining Kilmar Abrego Garcia shortly after he was released from immigration custody. And you guys might already know that he was wrongfully deported to El Salvador earlier this year. And it was wrong because an immigration judge had ruled years prior that he should have withholding of removal, which means that he should not be sent back to El Salvador. He could remain in the United States under this status of withholding of removal. And you guys might have recall Christy Nome saying, "Oh, under no circumstances will he ever come back to the United States. There are no circumstances or no scenarios that would ever bring him back to America." Well, not only did he return to America, they then attempted to send him to Africa, right? Remember, they were trying a removal, third country removal, and that didn't work out, and he was released, and then they arrested him again, and he's been released, and now a judge says he's protected from he is protected from being detained again by ICE. So this is the face of Trump's immigration efforts, I think, in some ways, at least during year one. So he is back, and he cannot be redetained. So that's interesting, good news. Now, guys, let's talk about bad news. Bad news for tourists and those in the tourism industry here in America. The Trump administration is looking to collect 5 years of social media history from tourists and other personal information about them. But not just any tourists. We're talking about tourists who are coming from one of those 42 visa waiver program countries. The administration is proposing to collect 5 years of social media history, 10 years of email addresses, and detailed personal data about immediate family members, such as their phone numbers and residences. That's what's being proposed here. These travelers who currently use the ESTA system to enter the United States for up to 90 days without a visa would be required to complete a new mobile-only version of the application, and the submission of social media history would become mandatory. DHS says the proposal is intended to support President Trump's directive to block entry to individuals who may pose national security or public safety risk. But critics warn that the policy could, and it will, deter tourism. I mean, really, who wants, you're coming to America just to visit. You want to go to Disney World. You don't want to give your so much information to the US government about your social media and your family members and email addresses that you've owned over the last 10 years. Why? That's so intrusive, right? I think that this will certainly deter tourism. Um, these changes reflect a broader push by the administration to intensify intensify vetting across the immigration system, including enhanced scrutiny of visa applicants abroad and the investigation of social media activity, political views, and good moral character for immigrants already in the U.S. seeking asylum, green cards, or citizenship. Now, it's one thing to do this increased, enhanced vetting of those who are going through the green card process or asylum, seeking asylum or citizenship. That's those, you do your vetting. But now you're talking about people who want to come to the United States just to go to Disney World or to New York, go to Times Square and go see a Broadway play. Why do you have to go that deep? What's driving that effort? I think that this doesn't make any sense. All right, type in freedom now, guys. Type in freedom now. We have a couple more things to talk about, including the Trump Gold Card, which I'm going to talk with you guys about momentarily. Now, another bad news. Bad news. Um, this week was announced by USCIS, Department of Homeland Security actually announced it as well, that they're ending. They're ending the family reunification parole program. And you might be saying, wait a minute, I thought all of those parole programs ended earlier this year. What is this? This is another one? I didn't know this one even existed. What's the big deal here? Well, the big deal is, yes, this one existed, but this is different from every other parole that you've heard about this year that this administration has ended. This is actually a parole in which the United States government sent an invitation letter to family members abroad who were waiting in line for a green card, but it's a slow process for many people. So the government invited them through this parole to come on in and wait here in the United States until you're able to adjust your status and get your green card here. And so this is a program that was created to unify family members from Colombia, Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, and Honduras. And they're to reunite the immediate family members here in the United States. And so now the government has said, although we've invited you to come here, we're the invitation, we're reneging on it. It's over. We'd like for you to leave. We would like for you to leave. Okay. Um, and so on December 12th, they announced this yesterday. And the announcement said that if individuals were allowed to enter the United States through one of these programs, that their parole will end on January 14th, 2026. Now, that's not much notice. That's not much time after the government has invited these people to come to America. So the parole will end on January 14th, 2026, unless the individual has a pending green card application, the I-485, which was filed on or before December 15th. And it's still pending. Okay. And it says that if you meet that condition, your parole will remain valid until a decision is made on your adjustment of status application or your parole period expires. And if DHS denies your adjustment of status application, your parole will end immediately. And of course, DHS is, of course, encouraging individuals to leave America right away. And if their parole is terminated, once the parole is terminated, their EAD or work authorization that's tied to the parole will be revoked. And they're now saying that they're shifting from these categorical parole programs to a case-by-case review, discretionary review of individuals. And so this one hits differently because are we saying we don't care about family unity anymore? Yes, that's what they're saying, and they're not giving people enough notice to get their affairs in order if they choose to go back to their country and continue the wait there. This is highly unfair. I haven't seen anything yet with respect to any litigation about this, but I'll certainly keep you guys posted. But it's a blow to the family members from those countries, again, Colombia, Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, and Honduras. This parole program has ended. Now, let's talk about, lastly, this is it, guys. This is it. And then I might take some questions before we go today. I'd love to get a walk-in before this day is over. So, lastly, the Trump Gold Card is here. Unlock your life in America. The Trump Gold Card's website says, .gov, by the way, trumpcard.gov says, you're going to unlock that life in the United States after you take the risk of the scam. I mean, you take the risk of applying for the gold card, okay, which I don't think it's something that you can rely on for various reasons. Number one, Congress sets up, statutory scheme for how individuals can become eligible for a green card and the process and when a visa becomes the visa has to be available to an individual and the whole statutory scheme is created by law by Congress. This is very different, but the gold card has it's an electronic application process, and they've started to accept applications. They started on December 10th, and this is supposed to be a fast track pathway to U.S. residency and citizenship for wealthy immigrants. The application fee is $15,000 per person. And I'll show you the application momentarily. $15,000 per person, including your wife, your spouse, your children, $15,000 per person. Also, it's $1 million per person as well. Okay. If you're trying to do this as an individual, or if you're trying to just bring in, if you're a company and you're trying to bring in a worker, it's $2 million. But then, of course, you have to pay millions also for the children and the spouse. And what the form that has been released is the form I-140G, the Gold Card Program form, and applicants must file this form by selecting either EB-1A or EB-2 National Interest Waiver. It's unclear how applicants are going to, and even the government will determine who qualifies for EB-1A versus EB-2 under the National Interest Waiver process. Applicants must also submit extensive biographic, professional, and source of funds documentation, and also make that $1 million gift to the U.S. government, again, per applicant. After which USCIS treats the gift only as evidence of your eligibility rather than a replacement of the statutory requirements that govern each of those categories or classifications. So just because you've paid $1 million or $3 million for a family of three or $5 million for, the family of five, it doesn't mean that it's a slam dunk and that this will replace the requirements under EB-1A for those with the extraordinary abilities or those under the National Interest Waiver. It's not going to replace the requirements. It's just evidence that you're eligible for it, but it won't replace what else is required. And also, if you're from a country like India, where there is a significant backlog, all right, well, you still are subject to the visa bulletin and the availability of a visa. And the form even says that, but it's in a very sneaky way. And immigration lawyers, be careful about working with people on this process. You could get yourself in trouble in years down the road if a client says to you, well, you should have known Congress never authorized this. You should have known this is not a legit process. You should have known that what risks were involved in this, and I've lost $5 million. You lawyers should have told me about these risks, what happened here, because litigation is sure to happen, guys, because this process is attempting to collect a lot of fees without the guarantee that you guys will really skip the line. Now, I'm spending time on this because I know you have resources to do this. I meet with you very frequently, and I know you're tempted to do this. We won't be helping anyone with this because we don't want to get in trouble in years late down the road for participating participating in this, but you've got to understand the risk that is involved here. There is no guarantee that you will be selected and that you will absolutely skip the line. Now, this is the form, friends, the form I-140G. And as you can see on page 1 of this form, you have you have to select either the EB1A category that you're applying under, or the second one, which is the EB2 under the National Interest Waiver. And the note says here, please refer to the U.S. Department of State's Visa Bulletin to see the availability of immigrant visas for each classification. So although the government says, oh yeah, this is fast track, you're going to skip the line, you're going to blah, 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 you're going to be the top priority, well, here you could clearly see they say that you've got to check the visa bulletin to see when an immigrant visa will be available for you. And you'd have to indicate the number of individuals who are requesting the gold card. And it also says here that it's 1 million per person, including any accompanying spouse or children on the petition. And you start off with this $15,000 application fee per person, and then you just go play the game here, right? Because the way that I view this, it's highly, it's risky. All right, it's risky, but if you want to go ahead and do it, more power to you. Someone says here, my good friend McBean, if I have $1 million, guess what? Guess what? I would do it. That's what he says here. I guess what? I would do it. You could, go throw it away. You could throw it away. Throw it away. Why not? Feeling like throwing it away. All right, guys. So those are the immigration news, the top news from this week that I thought that you should know about. A lot's going on, some good things. The ICE raids they're pulling back on those so that they could focus on targeted enforcement, because the public doesn't like to see those ICE boys out there on the street being so aggressive. They just don't like it. And so that's a good thing. All right, let's go into some of your immigration questions before I wrap up this live session. Thank you. Someone says no more raids. So Nelson, what's being reported is that although they've shifted the strategy away from those raids that are very public and disturbing, um, they want to continue to wrap things up in New Orleans because they have a quota to meet. Guys, remember the quota is 3,000 arrests per day. Let's go up here a little bit. What immigration questions? I see that Haiti is in the house. There's a lot of things happening right now. Haiti is on the travel ban list, one of those 19 countries. And so the I-130s, the I-45s, and others they're not processing any of those cases at this time. I know some attorneys are taking the cases and still filing them. One strategy that we're considering here at McBean Law is to file more mandamuses for the government's refusal to adjudicate these types of cases. So, so that's one strategy that some attorneys are taking. Thank you, guys. Type in freedom now. Let's see. Let's go here. So it's like a gift, a Christmas gift for the government. The goal, it's supposed to be it is a gift. There are questions about tracing the money. Where is it going? What is it going to be used for? There's so much, there's so much that we just don't know yet about how this will function. All right. But I would really like to follow the dollars here with respect to the gold card and all those application fee. Can I travel with my green card? Yes, green card holders can travel. Do not travel, however, if you have a criminal record, green card holder, or you're in the removal process at this time. Do not travel. Okay, green card holder. But you can travel around the United States as well, green card holder, freely. Um, are there any lawsuits yet about with respect to the immigration pause? I have not seen any or heard about any that has been filed quite yet. Thank you. Thank you. Um, is it safe to, oops, is it safe, is it safe to travel on emergency parole document while you have a pendant for I-140 and I-485? I-485. I'm not from any of those travel ban countries. I think you'll be fine with your travel, and you have your pending I-140 and your adjustment of status application. I think you'll be okay. How much is a consultation? Our consultation fees start at 300. It's 399 for me. You can call our office and you'll get more information about our policies, or you could go to our website at mcbeanlaw.com to learn more about our policies. Can naturalized U.S. citizen travel with a prior criminal record? So naturalized, when did yes, you should be fine with your travel, but the question also is, did you commit the crime after, were you convicted after you became naturalized or before? Can I travel with my 2-year green card? Yes. People with their removal of conditions, I'm sorry, with the 2-year conditional green card can travel as well. But again, don't do it if you're not in a good place with your spouse in the relationship, or if you're separated, okay? Um, What about immediate family, like parents, if they were invited by their children? Can they still stay in the United States? Immediate relative, if you're an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen and you're going through the green card process, yes, you could stay here and finish your process. You do not need to leave the United States at all. Let's see. Because with immediate relatives, the visa is already it's available for you. So you could stay here and finish up your adjustment of status process and get your green card. Can I sponsor 2 people at the same time? Yes. Yes, you can. You just need to show proof of your financials, proof of financials, and you'll be able to do it. Okay. All right, let's see. See if I could take just a few. Yeah. Uh, yes. Yes, Stephen, that is correct. Um, I've just tuned in. Can you please explain more when you mention no more ICE raid? So yeah, so certainly you could watch the start of today's live session, but the breaking news is that DHS ICE does not is change in direction. They will no longer, according to sources that's reporting this, News Nation, The Hill, Fox News, that they are shifting away from those public raids at places like on the streets, of course, in places like Home Depot and other places where we've seen some very disturbing, unlawful activity. They're shifting away from that because the public don't like it. They just don't like it. It really bothers them. And so the polls have been showing, the polling has been showing that Americans hate this, and it's finally gotten to that high level of policymakers' consideration, and they are saying, let's just pull back on those. Let's keep those checkpoints, those traffic stops. We'll keep those because those are more controlled versus us going out there and doing the things that we were doing. The Americans don't like that. It makes them feel very uncomfortable, and people do not feel safe. Even US citizens do not feel safe. So they're going to focus now again on targeted efforts involving people convicted of serious crimes. That's what they've said. So that's what's going on. So that's actually really, that's a that's good news, I think. Okay, thank you. Let's see. But I've also read, however, that they will, New Orleans, they're going to keep up the work in New Orleans because they have a quota to meet. Okay, quota to meet in New Orleans. So this is what happens when you bring in new plants into your office in the middle of December. Okay, let's see. Um, Is Philippines on the list of the 19 countries? No, Philippines is not on the list of the travel ban list. Philippines is not on that list. Let's see, do I have, here it is. Okay, so just to refresh your memory, these are the 19 countries that are part of the presidential proclamation: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Those are the 19, but just keep in mind that this government is talking about expanding this list up to 30 countries. They have not yet announced what those 30, those additional countries, what those additional countries are. So these are the travel ban countries currently. And to my knowledge, I have not seen or heard them follow through with their promise to review that list. They were supposed to review that list months ago and make changes to it to determine whether those countries still need to be banned. I haven't seen anything. If you have, let me know. I might have missed it, but I haven't seen anything to indicate that they've actually conducted their review and made any changes. Those are still the same countries. All right. Let's see. If you're joining on TikTok, thank you for being here. If you'd like to hear more about the breaking news that I've shared earlier, go to McBean Immigration TV on YouTube, where you could watch the replay in its entirety. Let's see. Let's go down again. Let's go down this. My wife's green card will expire in 5 months. Okay. She's not from one of the 19 banned countries. Should my wife renew her green card? Harry is asking. Yes, she should renew her green card. I don't see any reason why she wouldn't renew her green card or what the issue is. Someone is asking, is it true that starting February 1st, is someone starting a new rumor? Is it true that starting January 1st, 2026, if you're a green card holder, you're not going to be allowed back in the United States? No, that's not true. Green card holders have a right to return to the United States. It is their right and privilege. It's part of their privilege. So I have not heard that. That's a rumor. Can ICE detain you if you have an I-94 asylum granted? Um, so let's see. You have an asylum. You're saying that you're an asylee. Your asylum case has been approved by the government. So ICE can detain non-citizens. Okay, for various reasons. Okay, depends on what happened. So if you are an asylee, your asylum case has been granted, and maybe you're waiting on your green card, and so you're still just an asylee. If you had a problem with the law, yes, ICE can detain you, and you could hire an immigration lawyer to sort things out for your release. If you're a green card holder, yes, you can be detained as well if you had committed a removable offense. You know, so there are different reasons for, you know, ICE's ability to detain people. It just depends on the facts. If you're a US citizen, no, you cannot be detained by ICE, but non-citizens can be detained by ICE for various reasons. I will not be explaining the gold card again, okay? Someone is asking me to do that. Watch the replay. The gold card, as you guys know, is something that I abhor. I think it's a scam, and I hate talking about it. I've already touched on it, so just watch the watch the replay. Okay, watch the replay. It's let's go down here. Do you think it's okay to go in with my wife to her interview or ride this one out? So, who filed for your wife? Who filed for her? What interview are you referring to? Because marriage-based cases, the government requires both spouses to appear for the interview. Um, You guys also might have been seeing a lot more in the news, various stories about spouses being detained at USCIS's field offices. Why? Because they've overstayed, right? Visa overstay, and that's the only issue. Some of those stories are popping up here and there. It's not widespread. I will tell you that because we even go on interviews almost weekly to these various USCIS's field offices, and our clients who overstayed their visa as well they're not arrested. And as a matter of fact, people are still being approved of their green card. But what is happening now is this, that through a leaked memo, and I've explained this in a different video. In this leaked memo, it described the scenario in which an individual has been invited to USCIS's field office for an interview, but they have been flagged for a certain type of process to arrest them. And what I see so far from what I've been hearing through the grapevine, really, it looks like they're doing this more so for individuals that, they have fraud on their record or allegations of fraud on their record, or maybe even a criminal history. They're, or a removal order, okay? And so they go in for these interviews, and the field office, sets them in a certain room, sets them with a certain officer to interview them. And there's a group chat that started via the cell phone, right? A chat is going on. Um, uh, you know, Explaining to the supervisors in the chat and ICE in the chat what information is being collected during the interview. Oh, this is what she said. This is what he has said. And based on the information that the applicant is providing during the interview, the supervisors will make that decision whether that they should proceed or not with an arrest. And so it's not uncommon nowadays for you to go into these interviews and you see the person interviewing you doing some sort of texting, right? That's what's going on. They're trying to figure out whether you're giving them enough information to say, yes, we got it. Yes, let's go, right? Let's arrest this person. And then they're arrested. And for others, they are not. We had an incident too. It was last week we went through this with someone, and it was quite clear that it looked like they wanted to arrest this person, and thankfully it didn't happen, but it was like this close, okay? So I can tell you guys that this is what's going on. So be strategic. If you have a removal order and you have an interview coming up, there's a very high likelihood now. I could just say that now. I couldn't have said this weeks ago because it wasn't really that clear then, but now it's clear that this is what they're doing. So you've got to strategize and plan ahead and know what your legal strategy will be in the event that they detain you. Many of you can be free, and people are being released after being detained, but it's just a very um, traumatic event to go through, and you do not want that. Okay? go down a little bit. Let's go down a little bit. Um, How long? How long will USCIS pause asylum, refugees, and adjustment of status case decisions? Jennifer is asking. Jennifer, it sounds like it's going to be a long one until litigation is filed, of course. The president and also Christy Nome, they've made various statements that indicate it's going to be a very long pause. There's, but again, some lawyers are going to be very aggressive to file these mandamus, not just for delayed adjudication of a case, but really the refusal to adjudicate a case. So more lawsuits are going to happen. Fingerprint. Someone has asked a question about fingerprinting. I wanted to mention earlier that, but I forgot. And so thank you for triggering my memory. The government, some of you might be getting new biometrics notices. So do not freak out. If you, out of the blue, get a letter from immigration asking you to come in and do biometrics, and you've had your application pending with them for maybe 4 years now, 5 years, if you're going through a removal of conditions process and yours is a complicated one, you could be waiting for several years, and some of you know this to be true, and we work with you. So if you're waiting and out of the blue you get this notice to come in and do biometrics, that could be a little intimidating, but don't be scared of that, because the government has announced that if they're trying to collect fresh biometrics. They want it, guys. They want fresh biometrics. So if your application has been pending for 3 years or longer, that's what I saw earlier. Um, just expect that they are going to send you a biometrics notice for you to give them fresh data. All right. I thought I had it in front of me earlier, and I can't uh, get into that source right now. But don't fret too much about that if you do get it. Is ICE still in Chicago? ICE has never left Chicago. Border Patrol, however, has left Chicago, and they're now in New Orleans. But ICE is still in every city, of course. But as you can see, things died down significantly in the Chicago area since Border Patrol was basically kicked out because they were violating constitutional rights left and right, and they were losing in line in court, and in a big way. The oversight from the federal court there was really intense, and they were driven out. But ICE is still very much still in Chicago, and they are active. Can USCIS use a sealed criminal case against an individual during the N-400 naturalization process? They want to know about what happened. They can, yes, they can still, even if your record was expunged and all of that, you still have to really go into a great deal of detail about what happened, and they will make a decision about how they're going to use and treat that information. Someone says that ICE is very big in Minnesota. What about U.S. citizens? Will ICE arrest them too? Zora is asking. So, we see what we've seen, right? ICE arresting some U.S. citizens in a very disturbing manner. And so they're going to be cutting down. They're going to be cutting down on that. But they will still conduct those traffic stops. My husband is a green card holder. It will be expiring in May of next year. He's scared to renew it. What should he do? Precious is asking. So what should he do? Most green card holders can just renew their green card without any fear, okay? If he has a criminal record and he's seriously concerned about what's on his record, he should consult with a lawyer to see if he has anything to be concerned about. Are they still looking to deny citizenship applications due to overstay of 1 month? I'm married to a U.S. citizen. So no, there's nothing that exists with regard to citizenship being denied because the person has overstayed their visa. And also, if you mean what you meant there is a green card process, no, the application cannot be denied simply because the person has overstayed, because that person is an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. Okay. Let's see. Is TSA asking for your status during domestic flights? I have not heard about them asking for status of individuals. That's beyond their authority. They don't usually get involved in immigration related issues. But what they are doing, however, is they're sharing the names of everyone who is traveling that day, you know, or that week, so that ICE can run those names through their database to see if there's an alien number and if that alien number is attached to a removal order. That's what they're doing to my understanding, as reported out by New York Times. Okay, that's what they're doing. And again, this is my video from yesterday, my reel. You could go on Instagram to watch it, or Facebook, or I think TikTok has it as well. YouTube, we haven't shared it to you yet because we have a strategy, and sometimes it's a little slower. So we have to hold your hand and do things very carefully with YouTube. So I think you might even see it on Monday because we have everything scheduled for this weekend already for YouTube. But if you'd like to see it sooner, certainly go on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook to watch this breaking news. Domestic traveler names are being shared with ICE for airport arrest. Real video. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Can I travel with my green card? Yes. Can I leave the country for good by plane? Can I leave the country for good by plane? Yes, you are free to do that. The government is encouraging, pushing strongly that you exit using self-deport, using their method through the app. Now, it has been reported as well that they're gearing up to that their ICE is gearing up and Border Patrol to really surveil, I should say, the southern border, the southern states in a stronger way, because they are predicting that people will be leaving the United States and they would like to catch those individuals, arrest them before they leave the United States so that they could it's not to keep them here, because that's the goal, is not to keep anyone here, but the goal is to get those metrics up, to get the data to say, oh, yes, our arrests and detention and deportation numbers are up. So that's what I've heard. I have not seen any, evidence really of that, but I have heard other lawyers through videos talk about that. I think it's Operation Irish something or another. Yes, but you could get on a plane and leave the United States for good if you choose to. Guys, watch today's replay. Watch the replay so that if you've missed it, okay, if all the breaking news that I've covered. I will be live again on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time to go through your immigration questions and to touch on whatever else happens this weekend. We just want some peace this weekend. But most likely, my colleagues will tell me, LMP, these are the topics you have to touch on today on Monday. I guarantee you there's going to be something. So join me on Monday and at 1 p.m. for our next live session and Q&A session. So hold on to your immigration questions if I was not able to answer them today. Our office is still open on the weekends from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The phone lines are open. Our team, the rest of the team, however, they're taking a break. They're resting to gear up for the next week. But you could call us and book that consultation or leave a message for your attorney or paralegal or legal assistant. We're here for you, and I'll be back before you on Monday. Thanks so much for being with me today, guys. You were the best company today. I appreciate your support. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, subscribe now and hit that notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notice of these videos each week. Although I hear from you sometimes saying that I don't get the notification. I don't know what's going on sometimes with YouTube, but please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks so much, guys. Have a terrific rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.